We are live. Woohoo! All right. So today, unless you have been living under a rock, you might have heard about this chip shortage. And this is something very, very serious. We're going to talk about it today, and we're going to talk about how you can take advantage of it. And my name is Jay Grossman. I am the founder and CEO of iAutoAgent. And this is Mr.
David Marks, Quality Auto STL, where you get trusted services with no surprises.
We are going to rock it out today. And I'm telling you this, you guys are going to learn a lot. But hopefully, the whole idea is you can capitalize on it. We're going to do that in 2 seconds.
Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride when buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the podcast that tells you what to watch out for, whether you're buying, selling,
or repairing your car.
With 47 years of automotive experience, we are the Automotive Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by iAutoAgent. We're real estate agents for cars.
And Quality Auto STL. Trusted services with no surprises.
I gotta love it. I gotta love it. I love watching that every single time.
Oh, me too. That just rocks.
I think you got a haircut, didn't you, Dave?
I did. I got my ears lowered.
Nice. Nice. You look younger.
Yeah, I had the rag top cut off.
So, Dave, I want to know, well, before I get going, I just wanted to, first of all, thank our sponsor, Techie Tony with Techie Tony Media. He makes this beautiful thing happen, and just, it's awesome. And we have just gotten so many followers. I am getting calls from all over the country from people watching our podcast, listening to our podcast, and all the above. And, you know, it's just really, really exciting because when we started doing this, you know, we wanted to really add a lot of value, but we want to have fun doing it too. We don't want to be those boring guys that are like, oh, boring. Anyway, Dave, I want to know, what do you know about the semiconductor chip shortage?
I mean, you know, I hate to tell you, Jay, I don't really know a whole lot about it. I mean, it doesn't really affect me, and I don't think it really affects, you know, independent repair shops. I mean, people are still keeping cars longer. I think the average age of a car on the road is 12, 13 years now, if I'm correct. And it really hasn't affected me in any way, shape, or form.
Well, it's not going to affect you. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's not going to affect your repair shop directly, so we think.
No, but indirectly it will.
It will indirectly. But so here's the whole thing with this. So first of all, let's talk about semiconductor chips. What are they? Well, these chips, just like for, you know, your mobile phones, all those little microchips that go into your mobile devices, well, they are used in cars. And what happened was, when the pandemic hit, this is what happened. The car manufacturers were the #1 customer for these semiconductor chips. So that was the #1 customer. And then, you know, our society's like, hey, by the way, you can't come outside your houses now. And, you know, you guys got to stay at home. And so what did people do? They stayed at home. They didn't go out and buy cars. So what happened? Manufacturers started shutting down. The car manufacturers started shutting down.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, UAW went to the big three and told them we're not coming to work.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was working. I mean, it was just completely stagnant. They said, you cannot come out of your house. So what did these companies do that created these semiconductor chips? They said, you know what? What'd you say?
They found other customers.
Exactly. So what also happens when people can't come outside their house and they can't go to work? They work from
home.
Exactly. And when people work from home, what do they use to work?
The computer.
The computers. That's right. The mobile devices. And some of us were staying home and playing video games because our video game systems use these chips too. Now, that wasn't me, of course.
Me neither. We're rocking and rolling over here.
Yeah. So here's what happened. So everybody's at home. Nobody's going out buying cars. The chip companies say, hey, we're going to go sell these chips to somebody else. And that's exactly what they did. And what happened is when the manufacturers say, okay, we're ready for these chips now, they're like, sorry, we're all out. And the manufacturers are like, well, we need these chips to make our cars function. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's listening, cars do not function without these chips. You can make the car, but if you don't have the chip, you don't have a car. So what happens? Well, when new cars aren't being sold, then used cars aren't being sold, because here's what happens. When people go buy new cars, dealers relied upon trade-ins. Well, when people aren't trading cars in, they're not going to have a supply of used cars. So what do you think happened when our wonderful government said, okay, you guys can come out of your house again. And we're going to give you all this stimulus money too to go buy cars. Everybody flocked to buy cars. And then there's none. And when they can't buy new cars, they go buy used cars. And when they can't buy used cars and the dealers can't supply them fast enough, everybody and their brothers trying to get these used cars. And what happens when the supply is low and the demand is high?
The price goes cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
It's exactly right. And so when no trades are out there, dealers are like, what do? They start paying top dollar for cars. And here's the other piece too. Do you remember the Texas storm? The huge storm that hit Texas. Like it's
yeah.
So 12% of these chips are also produced in Texas. So what does that do? It rains on the parade even more. So what are some of the companies that have been affected by this? Well, Ford, VW, which VW is Porsche and Audi.
They're number one worldwide.
Yeah. So VW, Porsche and Audi are VWs. Lamborghini's a VW. I mean, how many people are buying Lamborghini?
Well, Bugatti, I think, is under their umbrella.
Yeah. And so they had to actually shut down production. So here's another thing. Mini has been affected. Land Rover, Range Rover, Jaguar, just pretty much every company has been affected. But in a few minutes, I'm going to tell you the companies that weren't affected and how they're coming out. I'm going to see if you can guess, Dave, which ones those are. But think about it this way. We're in a situation right now that we were last year. And let me tell you something. It's not just cars that are being affected, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But what's happening is prices are going up on vehicles, not just used cars, but the new cars too, because the manufacturers are being squeezed so much because they can't make as many cars. So now they have to charge more for the cars. How do I know that? Well, do you want to know? So
you called Guido.
I called Guido, and Guido said Bobby was at the dealer. I was helping
Bobby and Guido had to be involved.
I was helping Bobby buy a car, and I talked to Guido. And when we were doing, so Auto Agent, we do a buyer's agent program. We help people nationwide buy vehicles. So I called Guido, And that's one of the things that we do. We always talk to the people that run the dealer that is empowered to make decisions. And we have a client, let's just call him Bobby. Okay. And Bobby ordered a 2021 GMC Denali Sierra.
Wow.
Duramax diesel.
Bobby's got some
freaking $80,000 truck. And I got an amazing deal for him. And I come to find out that the vehicle actually just got here yesterday. And I'm talking to Guido, and Guido tells me that the price went up $800 and they removed all the rebates. And I'm not kidding, Dave. I am not kidding.
Wow. Guido pulled a fast one on you.
Well, no, they didn't. And here's why. Because when the it's a trickle down effect.
Sure.
When the manufacturer is squeezed, who's the next person gets squeezed?
The dealer.
Bingo. And who's the next person that gets squeezed?
The customer.
Ding, 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 ding. You win a prize.
Hey.
So what happens now is, so prices are going up on new cars. Prices are going up on used cars. So here's the bottom line. Here's the other thing I want to tell you. The rental car companies that have, that they buy all these new cars, they can't get cars. So guess what they're doing now? They're buying
used.
Ding, 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 ding. You win again. So what does that do?
That really inflates the price.
Yes. The price is really high. So in a few seconds here, I'm going to teach you on how to take advantage of this. Because when there is turmoil and negativity, we can look for those positives, right? And that's what I did with my company. When everybody was told, hey, you know what? Nobody's going to be able to leave their house. And I said, okay, that's going to last for a little bit. But when they tell people that they can leave their house again, people are going to flock to buy cars. And that's exactly what happened. So what do you think? And I'm going to ask you this, Dave. What are the companies that weren't affected?
That weren't affected?
Yeah.
Of the companies that weren't, well, I would take like cell phone manufacturers.
I'm talking about car companies.
Oh, that weren't effective? Oh,
yes.
Tesla's got to be on that list.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Do you know why Tesla's on the list?
Because he does everything in-house.
Well, yes.
For the most part.
He doesn't do the same things that everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And I think we can all learn from this. If we do things the same way, we're going to get the same results.
Because I've seen a lot more Teslas on the road here lately.
Well, and here's one of the ways you can take advantage of this. And I'm going to give a little plug for my company, AutoAuthorities.com, because what we're doing is we're taking people's cars, we're selling them like real estate agents for cars at no cost to the seller. And we're selling our cars, Dave, I am not exaggerating, under 7 days on an average. And we're putting between $2,000 to $3,000 more in people's pocket than they could have gotten on their own. Now, that's not going to work with every situation, but I'm going to tell you again how to take advantage of this in a second. But actually, let me tell you why Tesla is not getting hit by this. Because what they did is they figured a workaround, right? So all these companies are doing all the same thing. They're going back to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer says, hey, we can't produce these things. You keep asking us to produce them. I mean, these are very, very sophisticated chips that you cannot just produce. So what happens? Tesla says, hey, I figured out a way around this. We can change the firmware a little bit, and our cars are going to function just fine. So meanwhile, Tesla hasn't missed a beat. And I just think it's amazing. Elon Musk has this just amazing mind. And we can all learn from this. If we just step outside our little box that we live in and start thinking a little bit outside the box. And that's what I'm going to tell you here in a second, if you stay with me, on how to take advantage of this. But before that, there is one other company that actually hasn't been affected either. Do you know which one that is?
Toyota? They're pretty good.
No.
No, it's not Toyota?
No, it's not.
Want
to take one more guess?
It's not a domestic company. I can't see them thinking the other
I'm going to give you a hint. It's actually one of your favorite cars to sell.
Oh, it's Hyundai Kia.
That's right. So Hyundai, what they did is they foresaw this coming, and they stockpiled away all these chips. So they're still producing cars pretty easily.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad. As big a companies GM and Ford and Volkswagen are, that they don't have this figured out. I mean, we're talking about billion-dollar companies.
And we're talking about really, really smart people, supposedly, that are running these companies.
Yeah, Volkswagen's number one worldwide. Ford is king behind GM in the U.S. market. And
let me tell you this. Do you know what other items have been affected? And when you guys hear this, whoever's listening right now is going to be very surprised, and you may rethink buying something now versus buying something later. Do you know what it is?
I would think, cell phones and computers, they got chips in them.
That is correct. But there's also something else that we use every single day. Well, some of us, I should say, use every single day. Toothbrushes. No, I'm just kidding.
Electric toothbrushes.
Well,
that's what means. That's what means his name.
It could be. But what it is TVs and appliances. Our appliances, think about it. Who talks to the refrigerator now? Who talks to their microwave? Who talks to their toaster?
Not me.
I don't either. You know what? There's a lot of people that do.
Oh, I'm sure. Now, do you know what cell phone manufacturers? Because is Apple affected this?
Yes, absolutely. Apple is.
Apple,
smartphones, mobile devices, laptop computers, TVs, appliances. But I've got another wild card for you too, and this is pretty interesting. Power tools with lithium batteries.
Power tools. Wow. Yeah, I use power tools every day.
I'm going to say that's exactly why when we started talking, indirectly, everybody is going to be affected by this.
Sure.
And why did this happen? Because of COVID-19. Isn't that something? One thing has made all this mess of a situation. But let's talk about the positive, Dave, because I am a very, very positive person.
Yep, me too.
Now, they're saying that this is not going to end until into 2022.
Wow. We're not even halfway through the year.
Right. So how can you take advantage of it? And I'm going to tell you right now. Number one, if you want to buy a TV or you want to buy an appliance, I would buy it right now. Because what's going to happen with appliances, they're going to go back up in price. Everything is starting to inflate. So hopefully you're making lots of money on Dogecoin and Bitcoin. Because I'll tell you this, the time is now to make a decision. Now, if you have a car right now, let's just say you have a car and it's an extra car and you've been thinking about selling it, call AutoAgent.com. No, in all seriousness though, if you're thinking about selling it, there are manufacturers that aren't getting hit as hard. Acura is another one. One of my preferred Acura dealers, they are fine on cars right now.
Wow. What about Honda?
Honda and Acura are okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't know. I mean,
I would say this though. I will say this. Everybody's still a little short, but some of them are hurt a lot more than others. GM and Ford's just absolutely being knocked on their butt right now.
Wow. They're number one seller in the U.S.
Yeah. Go drive by a Ford lot and it looks like a ghost town. And I feel bad because one of my best buddies runs a Ford dealer. He's one of our preferred dealers.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He's a good guy.
He is a good guy, and I want to help him. You know, here's the thing. We're all going to get through this, all right? But if you have an extra car that's just sitting around, maybe it could be a newer car, it could be an older car, whatever it is, now is the time to sell it if it's an extra car. If you want a vehicle, and you can call us at iAutoAgent, and we'll talk about our buyer's agent program, and I'll tell you some of the manufacturers that aren't getting hit as hard, because, you know, the tough thing is if you're selling a car, you know, for top dollar, you really obviously don't want to pay top dollar for the car you're buying. So what we try to do is we try to find the best of both worlds for people. It's a little harder now than it has been, but it definitely, there's definitely opportunity there. Okay. Also, like, just think about it this way. Especially like if you're looking at a new car right now and you see it on the lot, that same new car, if you had to order that car, is going to be more money also when then you go buy it again. Because these manufacturers, I'm telling you, they're raising prices, they're removing rebates. It's pretty nuts is what's going on. So anyway, I mean, I've got some more stuff to share, but you know, what's going through your mind right now, Dave? I'm looking at you like you look like you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you know, it's just crazy. And you know, I drive by Weber Chevrolet a lot, and normally their lot is packed full of trucks. That's a high volume dealer in this area. And I buy a lot of parts from them, and their lot's empty. And it's just, you know, it just dumbfounded some of the biggest companies in the world, you know, don't have their stuff together to let this happen, or not foresee this, or be so dependent on other suppliers. You would think, I mean, we're talking about billion-dollar companies here.
Dave, I mean, not to interrupt you, but look at what's happened to our country. We let one thing affect all of us. It's affected every single person.
Yeah.
Every single person that is listening to this. There's not one person that it is not affected, whether that be positive or negative. So
yeah,
what we have to do is, I think the moral of the story is we have to really think outside the box, because there is a chance right now for you to take advantage of this chip shortage. You just have to do it strategically. You know, we'll help you here. You know, I hate to see it. I really do. And it's making our job harder when we are doing our buyer's agents and we're working with people.
Yeah.
I had a lady today that was looking at either a new or a used Cadillac. And I said, well, we'd like to compare the new and used. He's like, I don't even have one. Like, whoa, not even one.
Right.
Holy cow. And you know, people's families are suffering. You know, it's a tough deal. And they're saying this, Dave. They're saying it's not going to go away till into 2022.
That's crazy. You know, you think as big as some of these companies are, they can make the chip themselves. Ford can't do this. GM can't do this. I mean, Volkswagen. I mean, these are big. Some of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah. No, there's no end in sight. And when it starts getting into appliances and smartphones and laptop computers, that's a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, because me and Suzanne are kind of we kind of in the market for new phones. We're looking into it, and I guess we better do it now or just wait. We're gonna do it now.
I would do it now, because here's the thing: if you wait, you're not going to get one, and if you do get one, watch the prices go up on those too. So, you know, I hope that everybody, you know, when we do these things, man, I like to have a lot of fun, but man, I just hope people really get this, because I get chills. I get chills even talking about this. And the more and more I research, because I want to become an expert on this semiconductor chip, because when you have questions and you come to me, I want to be able to have answers for you. And sometimes there's just not an answer. You know?
Yeah.
I'll say this to everybody that's listening. If you have any questions, not necessarily related to this, anything at all related to the automotive industry, selling cars, buying cars, repairing cars, let us know. We are going to cover it on our show. Okay. We care about each and every person out there. And I'm going to tell you one thing, Dave. There is a certain group of people, and for all the females that are listening to this, listen closely, because I wanted to talk about a special guest. This is going to be our first guest that we have ever had on the show. And I wanted to make it a really special guest because the lady that's coming on our show next week has a massive following of people on Instagram, and she calls herself the Car Mom. And Dave, we've talked about this, and we've had lots of our clients come to us that are females that do not feel comfortable going to buy a car.
Absolutely. It's the same thing with mine. They don't want to go, they don't want to deal with me, because they're just afraid. And it's
so we're gonna have the Car Mom on next week. Who knows? She might come on again next month. No, but in all seriousness, she has a background in selling cars. But what she has done is she has empowered women and helping women all across the country by touring different makes and models of cars to find that perfect car for mom. And mom is somebody that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she has done just an amazing job. I've been so impressed with the Car Mom. And she's going to come on next week, and we're going to have a really, really great show. And I'm so excited to have her.
Sweet.
So anyway, I just wanted to really drive that home today. I also wanted to thank Techie Tony with Techie Tony Media. And Techie Tony has made all this beautiful stuff happen. We appreciate everybody that's downloading on iTunes and Amazon. And if you can hear my dogs in the background, I apologize. But every single time they see somebody walk by, they are my alarm clock. So this is raw and uncut, people. We do not edit this.
No.
This is what you see is what you get.
That's right.
Plan. And hopefully you appreciate that. So, Dave, do you have anything else you want to add before we sign off here?
I mean, I'm just glad we do this, Jay, because I learned a lot of this. I had no idea, how deep the chip shortage went, and I never thought about, the other stuff that it affects. It makes a lot of sense. Cell phones, computers, appliances. I mean, this is good information that people want to know and people need to know.
Well, good. Thanks for sharing. Thanks, Dave. That makes me feel good.
Absolutely. I learned something every single one of these.
I truly care about people, and that's why I go on this platform, is to really give people the real information. All that BS that you read on the internet about buying, selling, and repairing cars, half that stuff is garbage, and it's advertised based, and it doesn't mean crap. And what I want to do is I want to feed the good stuff in under 30 minutes. And just all the feedback that we've gotten, man, it just makes it so worthwhile every time we get together,
No, I love it, man. This is awesome.
Well, guys, everybody who's listening, we appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe and comment. Go on YouTube. Let us know how you feel about us. Make us feel good and warm inside. And watch out on next week. We've got the Car Mom, and she's bringing it home big time. All right, Dave. Well, I'm signing off. Everybody have a great night. Stay safe and buy a car, sell a car.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.